Yeah. What did it always start this off with? Ain't nothing new under the sun. So this is just a very brief public service announcement for all my 1199 SEIU tri-state members, as well as all the New York City League of Hospital Workers. So we're going to get straight to it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just have a quick look. As you can see here, New York Times, January 25th, 2003. NYU Hospital Center's president to resign. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up and have a quick look at the AI overview. Teresa A. Bishkoff, president of NYU Hospital Centers, resigned in January 2003 following a tumultuous year marked by the collapse of the Mount Sinai merger and controversy regarding her personal relationship with a union leader. She had led the institution since 1998. Let's see. Controversy reports noted a stormy year that included disclosures about her personal life and relationship with the key union official. I wonder who that could have been. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you really want to know what's going on with your union, all you have to do is just start asking questions and the information will come to you. But I just want everyone to know that in order for this to work, all of us have to step up and do our part, because all of us are working in the same conditions and we're all dealing with what? The lack of representation by who? 1199. Now, I've already shown you what one institution, NYU, is doing. And the reason I brought that up is because it's a connection to a certain someone, allegedly. Now, if you remember, I already showed you this. NYU labor chief sent 1.1 million to sham charities in Mexico. So what everyone has to understand is that what these people are doing, again, allegedly, 1199's own Dennis Rivera, but what they're basically doing is they create shell companies and then they donate money to those shell companies. And then either themselves will be a trustee or an executor of said shell company or someone close to them. And then they'll just donate money to another one of their shell companies or one of their friend shells companies. And they'll go on and on and on and on and on. But he was allegedly, and again, you can do this, take this bit of information and do with it what you will, but he was linked to a certain NYU president that we spoke about earlier. And the reason that matters is that once you start to follow the paper and you start to see synchronicities, it's another word, patterns, and you pay attention to the shell companies and who they're connected to, you can start to figure, or it'll imply a few things. So that being said, if you remember before, I gave you all the link, ProPublica, because 1199 SEIU is a nonprofit organization and all their information is public record, where you could go to find their tax returns and find out where, one, your union dues that you are paying for no representation, as well as the tax funding that they receive from your state and federal tax dollars for no representation is going. That being said, NYU is also a nonprofit organization that is funded by our tax dollars. So I want you to keep in mind that when they're dog walking you at work and not following their own policies and protocols or procedures outlined in their own employee handbook, but then gaslight you and tell you that you're crazy, when you respond by documenting everything, because New York is a one-party state, so you have every right to record, things start to make sense. But again, I'll be putting this link in the description so you can find out how much of your tax dollars is being sent to your employer, who constantly breaks state and federal laws. Isn't that right, Mr. Jose LaBraca, Deborah Newman, John Salvatore, Jennifer Gallinaro, and Fiona Moore. Oh, and Beth Cooper. And I haven't forgot about you, Evelyn Campos Santos. Laura, Laura, Laura. Mm-mm-mm. But yeah. All right. So I know this is everyone's evening. I know everyone has a life outside of work and outside of 1199, and I respect that because we've all been in the same place and space. So I'm going to keep this as brief as possible, but everyone knows why I'm doing this, and I'm going to continue to do this until I see results, permanent results. But that being said, I just want to put a quick image in everyone's mind, right? We all know how working at a hospital is because most hospitals themselves are universities, therefore they're campuses. And even as employees there, we're all working on campuses. And within those type of structured atmospheres, there's a high level of diversity, all different walks of life, cultures, ethnic, racial, religious, sexual orientation. And it's one big salad bowl, and we come together to get one thing done. So, I speak a lot about psyops and what's going on. So I'm making it my decision right now to make sure that, because you know what? All of us get triggered when we hear certain things. And I know when I hear certain things on social media, I get triggered. But right now, I'm choosing to focus on the bigger picture. And that's all of us as a collective workforce who our institutions are not following their own protocols, and they're also violating state and federal laws in the process, as well as just disregarding our our collective bargaining agreement. And 1199 SEIU is not supporting its people. We know that flat out. I understand when people apply pressure, and a lot of us, I myself at one point did move from a place of survival, or some people call it fear, right? Then I got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. So I realized what the fuck I got to lose, and I stopped moving in fear, and I started doing what I needed to do to get shit accomplished in my life. Because I got tired of people saying what they wouldn't let us do, and I kept saying who was they. No one could point me to they. So that being said, we all work in this collective microcosm of hyper diversity. So all of us, whether you work in finance and you're doing EOBs, or you work in infusion. I used to be a coordinator in infusion at HJD on the 10th floor. I know a lot of you remembered me from there. And, I used to having to call to get pre-certs for patients and all these other things. But within that environment, we all work with people who we know are not working in the field that they went to school for. We all know someone that we sit next to every day that's got a doctorate in quantum physics, or a master's in microbiology, or corporate accounting. So my point is that the only way that we're going to actually figure out and fix what's going on, and I believe this, whether it comes to law, litigation, history, money, always follow the paper trail. So now that we've established that both institutions and nonprofits and all their records are public information, we as taxpayers have the right to those documents, and we have the right to go through them with a fine-tooth comb and look at for all the shell companies that the money's being put under and who's it going to. Because when you look at outside relationships between the heads of two major institutions, and if you work at NYU and you've been through what I've been through, or you've been through what my brother Kevin the Gullah went through, then you know what happens. How, like, when certain organizers tell you to just show up in the lunchroom, and your director's sitting there that is telling you to sign write-ups. So I want to give a big thank you to everyone out there that's actually, one, liking and sharing the videos. I know there are people that are worried about whether the union or their coworkers see them sharing them on their timeline, so I get it. The only thing I do ask is that, and this is a donation, but never anything monetary, I'm just asking that if you are in this situation and you work in one of the institutions, or you're a union member and you've experienced this, we got to crack the algorithm. So liking the videos, sending them to your coworkers so that they can watch them on their own unique device, so that we can get the word out there. Because I'm making, I'm holding myself to a certain account now, and I'm being accountable to myself, but I'm making a promise to myself and everyone that I worked with that I saw go through the same shit that I went through, because those people to this day still call me telling me how when they see my videos online that is triggering for them and they start having anxiety. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a symptom of PTSD. That is fucking traumatic stress. So something's got to fucking give. So from this point on, all the differences and all the psyops that they're doing to keep us sidetracked, I'm putting that shit to the side because I'm keeping foot on neck and I'm putting belt to ass until all of us are made whole. I've got the receipts to prove what I've been going through. Remember, New York State is a one-party state. That means you have the right. You have the right to film anytime you're in a fucking public space. Ain't nothing they can say or do about it. They can make policies and rules for their institutions. Yeah, okay. But you know what trumps that? State and federal law. Protect yourself, ladies and gentlemen. And if anyone knows anyone that can go through these documents in the meantime until we can find other resources here, please have at it. And for all of the they thems out there that continue to reach out and give us a plethora and a wealth of information, we thank you and salute to you. Y'all are the superstars, because that's what's keeping all this rolling. It's not me. It's actually all of you watching, sharing, and reaching out and pointing us in the direction where we can see what we need to see. And from there on, just documenting. So again, I thank everyone, all of you, eternally grateful for that. And like I said, I don't want to put anyone else under a microscope that I chose to be under. That's why even with the videos that I share, everything I'm sharing has to do with management. I'm not mad at any of my coworkers for doing whatever they felt they had to do, because it is what it is. We've all been in that situation. But management had a moral and a professional and an ethical duty, as did 1199 SCIU. So I'm holding your asses accountable. And transparency forces accountability. So if you were of any management status or executive officer and you said some wild shit to me on tape, just know it's coming up the pipeline until somebody comes along and properly fixes this situation and addresses it for not just me, but for everyone that's been affected, just like the fraud in our last election. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. I would have to say, oh, press card. I had every requirement for the press card except for I needed 5 examples of on location journalism. So I've actually started that process, and I'm just letting everyone know, because once that is in hand, that is a New York State press card. So if anything was ever to come of this, we end up litigation for people who want to tell their stories but want to maintain their anonymity. With the press card, will be protected under whistleblower acts and so on and so forth. And I can never be in court forced to reveal my sources as a journalist. That's how serious I am taking this. And I'm not letting anything stop me, because if I had to go through all the shit that I went to and figure out all the things that I did and record over 3,000 hours of documentation and proof to prove what these people been doing, I'm not letting up off this motherfucking gas until the wheels fall off this bitch. And that's word on my fucking soul. So yeah, pardon my French, but it is what it is. But again, I appreciate all the help that I've received over these last few months. Believe me when I tell you, it does not go unnoticed or underappreciated. I would love to publicly give everyone their flowers, but I made the decision to hop out the window and put that target on my back. And I'm going to keep dipping and dodging and ducking and bucking back until we get results. So yeah, it is what it is. Realize, and transparency forces accountability. Y'all keep your eyes to the stars and keep that head on a swivel, because we are literally in the den of diabolical demons, aka the Viper's Pit. And like I said, y'all already know what it is. It's a dirty game. But I personally believe that if everyone starts taking a stand in their own personal lives and holding those individuals that hold positions of power accountable when they don't do their jobs that we pay them to do, hold their ass to the fire. And you make sure that you have a rock solid way proof of proving, because, for some reason, when it's just two or one, they like to say, oh, it's hearsay and your word's not valid enough. So you record their ass and it's locked and etched in stone. So now they have to lie. Now they have to outlie their own image. But yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here, man. Y'all be safe. It's a dangerous game out there.